Hey, dude, what's happening, man? I've had a couple people reach out and say, Scar, you and Duke need to do an emergency freaking session and let us know what you're thinking. A lot of stuff going on. Talk to me, man. What's going on through in your mind?
Really unbelievable how things went from 0 to 100 miles an hour. Um, One day, Sharon's having a press conference talking about bowl games and recruits and, what's the coaching situation. And the very next day, the whole world, his world, blows up. And, it's one thing to get fired for what you did there at the fireable offense. But then what happened afterwards is just, I mean, it's the talk of everything. It's leading national news, Fox News, NBC Nightly News. A friend of mine just sent me one of those news scrolls from Times Square.
Yeah.
The news of Sharon is scrolling across that in Times Square. This is just, it's really a terrible situation. You got to feel for Sharon's wife and the kids. They didn't have anything to do with this, and they're going to receive the repercussions for a long time. And it's just super unfortunate, completely avoidable. And there was no way to not get rid of him after finding out what happened. And
yeah, his wife and kids are obviously number one, and then the assistant coaches who you think you're in good shape. You got your family there, and you're who the hell knows if you're going to have a job, where, what, whatever. And
Yep.
I remember Bo when he was getting courted by Texas A&M. He's like, man, I got 150 people counting on me. I pack up and leave. I don't know what's going to happen to a lot of them people. So and I always remember that when I was a head coach, and you always got to be worried about thinking about them. But
you nailed it there. And it's not just the assistant coaches and their families. It's every single person that works in the football side of things in the athletic department. Everybody, marketing, PR, operations, you name it. Every single one of those people are susceptible to being let go when a new coach comes in, and that's just all because a lack of self-control.
Yeah,
super disappointing.
Dude, I've led a few times in my life. I was an AD in high school, and the things I've heard. When we've heard this, it goes back a year and a half, whatever. I don't know how if Ward and them ever had a discussion with them together. I don't know. Maybe some of this will come out. But the first thing that I thought about, if I was an athletic director and I heard wind of this, I'm calling up U of M Flint and saying, Mr. President, I've got a young lady that I think we're going to transfer up to U of M Flint. You know what I mean? Send Paige up there to U of M Flint. If that's what that's just something I thought about, that maybe I wish Ward would have thought about that.
I certainly wouldn't want to give the impression that you're just trying to shuffle somebody off to bury this story, because I don't think
I'm talking about before. I'm talking about like a year ago, you know what I mean? Before it got to this level, you know what I mean?
So the story that I read recently was that they had a relationship for years. Now, we don't have a definition of years. If it's 2 years, then it's been going on since he's been the head coach. If it's been beyond that, this has been going on since before he became head coach. And they say that, there was rumors, and that Ward had brought both of them together separately to interview them and find out if this thing had any legs to it. And they both denied it. And I assume that they did a thorough investigation, not just as in, hey, kids, did you brush your teeth? Yeah. Okay, go to bed.
Yeah.
I'm certain that they did a more thorough investigation with that. And, two people say no. Either you got to keep digging deeper and there's some things that came out now. If they would have checked his social media, maybe they would have seen some red flags. Whatever the case may be, we are where we are right now.
Yeah.
And he's no longer the coach. And now we got to move upward and onward.
Yeah, that's what we want to try to focus on is some names, some thoughts. I'm going to just start out with something that I think is overrated. I've always, in my opinion, I just think it's overrated. And there's former players that are going to probably disagree with me, but I never felt the need or desire that whoever the football coach is at Michigan has to have some type of relationship with Michigan. Bo Schembechler had nothing to do with Michigan. Dusty May has had nothing to do with Michigan. Jim Harbaugh, you could flop him down any college in America.
Yeah.
Probably darn near any NFL team in America. And you know what? He's going to win. Jim won at San Diego. He won at Stanford. He won with the 49ers. And, okay, he played here. And I know I just, I was a coach in high school. I went somewhere. I had no connection there. Whatever. You go in there, Signetti. What connection did he have to Indiana? Nothing. The smartest dude. Here's what I want to do. Okay, so I'm going to start with that. I could care less if the guy has any connection, has ever took a college credit at Michigan, if he knows State Street from Packard Street, from Washington. I don't care if he's ever been to the Big House. I don't care. That's just my thoughts on that.
Yeah, no, when the word Michigan man gets thrown around a lot, and everybody now it's been bruised from the past few years, but doesn't necessarily that you're a guy that went to school here or has been a long time assistant coach. It's supposed to be somebody that values what Michigan is all about.
Yeah.
And that term is getting dragged through the mud right now because we've had some scandals go on in the last few years. And so we need to get to the Michigan man principles.
There you go. There you go.
A physical Michigan man. Yeah. And it could be anybody if they bring in leadership, responsibility, accountability, do what's right, make sure that the people working for them do what's right. And we are all working towards a better Michigan, not a better I'm not looking for financial gain. I'm not looking for recognition. I'm not looking for the next job. I'm looking to make Michigan the best, most well-respected, hardest working championship level team. That's what we need.
And I told you before we went on, you know what I want from our coach? I want a guy that can out-recruit Dan Lanning and Ryan Day. And I want a guy that can out-lead and out-coach Signetti. And you said, well, that's a tall order. But you know what? Let's shoot for that. Let's shoot for that guy. So let me just start with that. This is Scar's thoughts. Doesn't have to be have gone to Michigan or coached at Michigan. But the principles we both agree on that are Michigan. We want a guy that can, I want a guy with experience, man. Now, I'm a firm believer in it, and there's a lot of great names. I like someone that has stood up in front of a team and proven that they can take some, and I prefer the guys that have taken garbage over. Right. Jim Tressel was at Youngstown State. Signetti just came from James Madison. So I don't care if he came from a big school. Now I know you like, and I like him too. The guy at New Mexico, I knew right away this guy can freaking coach. I'm surprised nobody picked him up. But a guy like Eck, people might think it's crazy to say that, but you could tell right away he goes to UCLA and wins. Anyway, that's a name. We've heard the Dillingham name. We've heard a lot about that. Let's just talk about those two real quick. Eck is a guy paid for Barry Alvarez. He's got a small resume, North Dakota, and then New Mexico. And his name isn't on any list except you and I. Yeah. But he's a guy that definitely came to Ann Arbor. You can see the toughness. You can see the Barry Alvarez. But I don't know that he's on Ward's list. And then obviously the Arizona State kid is a brilliant kid. He's supposed to be a real. I watched his team play a last year when he had Levitt healthy. You know, they were in the finals, the Big 12. Yeah, so he can coach. They look like they're an enthusiastic team. He looks like a tough guy with enough love, smart guy, but and a quarterback coach. So anyway, those are two names. Go ahead, go from there, Du.
I like Eck, and I like to look just what you said. He took over something that wasn't good and made it good. And then when he left, you know, Idaho went back down to nothing.
Yeah.
He took over a tough place to coach, New Mexico. Not a lot of recruiting going on around there. Not a lot of local players that are going to come and play at a Division I level. But he turned that thing around, and they won 9 games this year. I really like him. He's a little bit older. He's 48 years old. So it's a guy that if you hired him, he's going to be around for a while. If he succeeds, he could be around a long time. I liked what his team did when they came here to the Big House earlier in the year. That team played like they expected to win. They didn't just, well, Michigan's flubbing up a little bit and we caught them off guard and get inspired in the fourth quarter. No, from the first play, those guys played as if they were going to win. Dillingham's done a great job out there. He did have Levitt when he was healthy. He did have Scadaboo. So those two are going to make you better. I do like, here's the thing that he's got a limited head coaching experience, obviously. The other thing that I think, excuse me, he was in a no pressure situation. He took over for his alma mater from Herm Edwards, and that place was a train wreck. It was disastrous. And so he had no pressure when he came in there. He went 3-9 his first year, but then he won 11 games his second year and won their division. Got him to the Big 12 championship game. I think the fans are divided on him. My son, I can tell you, my son is not on the Dillingham train.
Yeah.
I don't have a strong opinion one way or another. I do like his resume.
Yeah, you know the thing that you have to be cautious of. I remember seeing that with the guy that Larry, what's his name, Taggart, Willie, what's his name, right? He was at Willie Taggart, right?
Where at?
He was at South Florida. He had that great quarterback at South Florida, Willie Taggart. Then he went to Oregon. Then he went to Florida State. He's been fired everywhere then, right? Okay. Yeah. This is the thing you have to be cautious of. And this is why it's so important that you get your quarterback right. Willie Taggart had a really good team at South Florida, and that was really the last time he had a good team. He went to Oregon, got the job at Oregon, somehow got the job at Florida State, but he never won. Anyway, my point is, Sam Levitt, Dillingham hit the jackpot with him. Now, he developed them. Michigan State didn't want him. So there's a lot going on there. You'd like to think that he has the ability to find the diamond. We want the guy that can find the diamond in the rough, develop them. At Michigan, you don't have to find the diamond in the rough. You could just find the right guy. But anyway, that's something of note that you have to make sure you don't get fooled with the one-hit wonder that hit it right one time with the right quarterback. Can you agree with that?
You know who the most perfect example of that is?
Who's that?
Jimbo Fisher.
There you go.
Jimbo Fisher had Jameis Winston, great quarterback.
Absolutely.
Title. Yeah. They didn't do anything more at Florida State. Yeah. He gets that ginormous contract from Texas A&M, and he doesn't do anything there.
That's right.
So that's a cautionary tale. I like his resume the most. That's what attracts me to Dillingham the most is his resume. He's been at Auburn. He's been at Oregon. And went back to his alma mater, and his first head coaching experience has been positive. He took a 3-9 team, made them 11-win team, and this year they were 8-win team because they had quarterback issues, and they didn't have Cam Scadaboo. So those two guys are on the list, but they're not at the top of the list. I think we both agreed.
Yeah, let me just keep going on. But what I look at is he brought that, Levitt got hurt, and then he had the Sims kid that no one wanted. Georgia Tech, he couldn't play for Rule at Nebraska. And he did okay with them. Those are the things you look at as a coach.
Yeah.
These guys that can't play for these other dudes, and you find a way to at least compete with them. So, but you got to be the guy. Anyway, you don't want to get caught up in being all excited about that. Like I said, the 1 year wonder, the guy that gets the quarterback right one time. I want to change gears before we talk about other names. This is something that I know a lot of people are concerned with. And I'm going to give my opinion. People talk about our current players. Now, we're going to lose some recruits. We've already had recruits leave.
Sure.
But guys on the roster, this is why if our top 30 returning players, got in the portal tomorrow, it's more important that we get the right coach. Here's why, because I've been that guy to take over a program at a small little BS level, but it's the same stuff. If our top 30 players get in the portal tomorrow and we name the right guy, we get the right guy on Tuesday. All I would want, if I'm that guy, just give me a half hour, kid.
Yeah.
Just give me a half hour. Give my defensive coordinator, if you're a defensive guy, give my defensive coordinator a half hour. Give the guy, the position coach, give him a half hour. Give us a chance. Because you know what? If I was that guy, then that right guy will convince those kids to come back and play for Michigan.
Right.
So when I hear guys talking about, worrying about our current roster, the right guy will find a way to keep them here. And I just, that's what I believe, that we shouldn't get all beat up over guys that are talking about, they're going to evaluate it. So anyway, I just do you agree with me on that? Or do you think that we should really be worried about guys getting in the portal right away?
I don't. I mean, there might be some guys that just are convinced, hey, I'm just going to go find a different place. However, I think the majority of them will wait and see. I did hear something tonight that I don't know if it was Sam Webb or somebody spoke to a current player's mother. And that mom said that her son, our player, has over 300 messages from other schools.
Really?
I mean, every school out there is trying to steal these guys away. So these kids, imagine being 18, 19, 20 years old in an era where there's NIL money, and you're getting messages from every school out there, and every message has a dollar figure with it.
Yeah.
So I understand, having a scrambled brain going through what you just went through with your head coach for the past few days, and then all these messages throwing out all kinds of money and all kinds of talk. Your head has got to be swimming. But yes, take a minute. Let's see how this thing shakes out, and let's give your head coach a chance to talk to you about his vision, how you fit into that vision. And like you said, a half hour of your time is going to be worth it.
The right guy will, if he is the right guy, he'll convince that kid to play for him.
Right.
You know what I mean? You give me a half hour, I'll convince that kid to stay. Sean McGee is going to be crucial right now. I've heard his name a little bit. I've met Sean. He's the money guy. He's the general manager, whatever his role is. So his role will be crucial right now. Okay, we talked about two names. DeBoer, we know he has, I guess his wife is from Dexter. They met when he was coaching at Eastern way back in the day. You're familiar with that story a little bit?
A little bit.
And maybe Alabama isn't all that high on him. I like the fact that he wanted a small school. He wanted Fresno. 2 years at Fresno, blew it up, scored some points. And then at Washington, got the right quarterback. And they're not maybe they're not overly happy with him, but he has a track record. He has a he has a track record of a proven leader, and he's a guy that I could definitely sign on for. I don't know what Ward knows. I don't know what he's hearing, what he's seeing, being in those interviews, but just looking on the hoof, he's a guy that I could sign on with. What do you think about him?
I mean, I think if you ask everybody out there, the vast majority of them would say that DeBoer would be number one on the list. He's got a lot of experience. He took Washington to the national championship game. And then he got, really the ultimate job, right? Alabama. But the problem at Alabama, and if you go through history and find, look at every single coach who followed up a legend, it is tough to do. And especially a guy who won as many national championships at, the bluest of blue bloods. So having 3 losses, if they didn't make the playoffs this year, man, I'm telling you, it was 50-50 whether that guy was going to be asked back next year. So maybe there's a guy there that says, look, man, I'm doing the best I can. The SEC is a tough place to make a living. And this place is awful difficult to live up to the standards. And maybe he's just not, maybe that's not his cup of tea. I don't know. Yeah. Maybe Michigan's a dream job of his. I don't know.
Yeah.
But if there's a whole bunch of information out there. Some of it's all BS and some of it's, somewhat true. Nobody knows all the details or all the facts because nobody is in the meetings with Ward or whoever. Right. So, but you sift through all these things. And one of the things I read tonight was that they're going after DeBoer and they're going after Dillingham. And some preliminary numbers have been thrown out there, and that maybe DeBoer is a little bit further down the line in this process. Again, if you believe what you read.
Yeah.
And because nobody's in those meetings and nobody knows exactly what's going on.
Hey, let me ask you, dude, did the lefty, what's his name, that was at Washington, the quarterback, did DeBoer, what's his name again?
Michael Penix.
Yeah, did DeBoer get him there? I wonder how. Anyway, those are the things. I want a guy that we want a guy. I said I want a guy that can out recruit Ryan Day.
Yeah. Penix was at Indiana, remember?
That's right. I know. I'm
trying
to do the math about the ability to attract the top quarterback that want to play for you. So those are things. The ability to really evaluate college talent is huge on the list. I'm going to throw some more names. So okay, he's out there. A guy that I've always been really, really high on, and he's having an average year this year, is the Kansas coach. I know he's not on anybody's list. I think he, Kansas built things around him. I'm big on him. He built Buffalo from trash. He had an average year this year, but I just think he's a damn good coach.
A couple of years ago, that guy was the hottest name out there.
Right, he was.
Kansas,
everybody wants to hire. You know what's happened with that guy, is he's been very successful. People are stealing his coaches left and right.
Yeah.
His offensive coordinator, James Franklin, knows he's good, took his offensive coordinator. So that makes it tough sometimes to continually, when you keep getting you develop your coaches and they keep getting taken from you. So anyway, he's a guy that I'd like to hear his name, but I haven't. But I'm big on him, and I'm going to throw another name, and then we'll move on to some others. But I really like the Vandy coach. Again, I like the guys that take over the struggling. If a guy can win at Kansas and rebuild, can you imagine what he can do coming into 110 with all the donor money we got and all the tradition and resource? If you can win at Vandy and you can win at Kansas, you think you can win in Ann Arbor? I mean, anyway, so the guy at Vanderbilt, I've watched his career. He's a defensive guy. He played at Vandy. He was a highly touted defensive coordinator. And to have the vision to go get Jerry Kill from New Mexico State. Now, I've been watching Jerry. I've been a Jerry Kill fan forever. People don't know what's going on with Vandy. I watch him because I know Jerry Kill from way back when he was at Saginaw Valley, but he's got Jerry Kill on the staff. He went out and got the right quarterback. Anyway, those are visions. Those are visionaries, coaches that have vision to get the right coordinator. So you get the right head quarterback. Anyway, I'm really big on both of those coaches. Lance Leipold at Kansas,
Clark
Leah in Nashville. I would very, very, very much be really satisfied with either of those guys because what are your thoughts on those two?
So we just got done talking about a guy that had a quarterback that really carried him on, his reputation, but then the results fell off after that quarterback left. They got Diego Pavia, and that guy is everything, man. He does it all. He throws and runs, and he'll win you a lot of games. What we haven't seen from Clark Lee is what happens when Pavia's gone. So he can recruit because he snaked that kid from Georgia, that 5-star quarterback, flipped his commitment to Vanderbilt. So he can recruit, and he's got a good thing going on with Pavia. But we don't know what he does without Pavia, and that would be my only reservation.
Well, dude, let me just stop you right there. We could have been sitting here having this same discussion about Curt Cignetti last year when he had the kid from Ohio he got, right? What the hell was his name? The MVP from Ohio. That's what we want, though. We want the guy that year in, year out. We ain't hearing no rebuild bullshit. We ain't hearing, you know what I mean? He went out and got the this year. Now he went out and got a kid from California. So anyway, we got to have a visionary guy that, okay, I know we're losing this dude, but this guy is going to have plan B and C always ready. But go ahead.
Well, the difference is that Curt Cignetti had a long history of winning wherever he's been, right?
Yeah.
That's
small schools, though, little bullshit schools.
Right, but you were talking, and he did that on purpose. He worked for Alabama under Nick Saban, and these days, a prolific coordinator, if he does well at a school that wins, is the next guy, the next big name to get a head coaching job. Cignetti said, "No, I'm not taking that route. I'm going to build a program my way, and I'm going to start here at Indiana University in Pennsylvania."
Yeah.
And he moved on, and then he moved on, and then he got this job at Indiana at what, age 64 or whatever his age is, which is, in coaching terms, that's a relic. But that guy wins, and he's won everywhere he's gone. So trying to pick a coach. Listen, man, we had Jim Harbaugh for 9 years, and the first 6 didn't go exactly the way we planned.
Yeah.
Right. It wasn't until 21 where everything came together, and you had NFL talent all over the field, and you had NFL talent all over the field for the next 3 years.
Yeah. Hey, dude, are you seeing some
ballot, but first round draft picks?
Yeah. Are you seeing some questions about other coaches they want us to discuss? Throw that out there. I'm going to throw another name out while you're looking at that. I'm going to tell you another name, dude, that people aren't talking about that is a damn good coach. Is Jim Mora. Jim Mora was in the NFL. You talk about a guy that's been around. He's been in the NFL. And obviously, UCLA is not an easy place to win. Okay. He was decently average at UCLA. Then they ran him out. They put Chip in there. But he went into UConn just recently now. And really, I remember when they came to Ann Arbor a couple of years ago. You remember when he was coaching there? UConn, and they gave us a game for a while, but anyway, he now has gotten the job at Colorado State.
Right.
He's a guy that has not, although he was at Washington, I think, right? Wasn't he at Washington? I think he was at Washington. He was at Washington, I think, before he went to UCLA. Anyway, it's just another name, a guy that has recently rebuilt UConn, and you look at where he's been. And just, a guy that if I was to hear his name, I would not be dissatisfied, because I think what he's done recently at UConn and the overall experience that he has is something that it should be considered. What do you think about Jim Mora?
I like if you can win at UConn, then you've got some chops, right?
Yeah.
But I gotta believe that name is so far down the list. And on top of the fact that we've seen coaches who have taken a job and then immediately reversed course and went someplace else. So it's not out of the question. But I just think that name is so far down the list that I don't even really.
Yeah, it's probably, you're right. It's not. It was on mine because I just saw what he did recently.
There's a name we haven't talked about, and I really like this guy, and it's Jed Fisch. And he coached here under Harbaugh, and I really liked his offense. He took Jake Rudock and that team and they won 10 games that year. And I thought his offense was innovative, and I thought it moved the ball really well. And I really liked him. I liked him, the way he managed each game. He brought out some new plays, not trick stuff, just innovative stuff. And I thought he was real good. If I had to pick a list, if I had to number them, I would say DeBoer 1, Fisch 2. Who did I have as 3? Oh, Eck.
Yeah, you like
I know
Jason
people are gonna,
you and I are the only guys that are even mentioning. I saw Jason Eck. I saw his team. I bet a lot of money on that game because I saw him play Michigan. I mean, really, I saw the dude. You could tell he played for Barry Alvarez. They're physical as hell.
Yeah,
well coached.
I like it, man.
They go to freaking UCLA and kick their ass at the Rose Bowl.
Everybody wants that big flashy guy, big name. I want a guy that wins and knows how to coach, run a program, and Jason can do it.
Yeah, and that's why you got to find those guys. Anyway, let's talk about Jed. Okay, here's what I like about Jed more than anything. Okay, he's been around. He worked with the old ball coach. He pounded on his. He waited for him in the parking lot. You hear that story? He played tennis. Never played football, I don't think, but he kept begging the old ball coach, got him going. But anyway, what I like about Jed Fisch, he's been all over. He's worked with a lot of guys. He's got a lot of guys in his mind that you refer to when you coach and lead. But the guy went to Arizona. They were garbage, flat out garbage. The dude's jumping out of helicopters or he's catching foot. Remember, he's got Gronk over there doing all that crazy stuff. I like the guys that think outside the box when they're at dog crap programs and they find a way to build it. Because if you could do it there, jumping out of, throwing footballs out of helicopters to bring attention to your program, what the hell are you going to do when you got 110 every Saturday? You got money, you got resources, you got tradition, and his quarterback made mistakes against us this year, and they beat us pretty. He's done a good job there these 2 years. Nothing great, but you have to respect that he did some things at Arizona. So that's what I'm really evaluating him on more than anything. Is because that's number one on my list. He proved himself, and so yeah, we are both. If I heard his name, defensively they run he's got the guy Walters that was with Bielema. Their scheme is very similar. It's the same damn stuff.
Brian Walters, he was the head coach at Purdue.
Yeah, but their stuff is defensively. It's what we do. It's the same kind of stuff. They'll run the base, the 3-4 stuff, and then the nickel with 4 guys, just like we do it. So if he's a guy that if you called his name out, I could buy in with that.
Yeah. You want to hear some of these comments? There's quite a few of them.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, blah, blah. Let's see. Somebody, I'll go to the bottom one here because I'm the wrong guy for you to say this to. Somebody said Gruden. Gruden is their first choice. Gruden is the very last choice. That guy hasn't been on a college campus in 30 years. He's been out of the game a long time. He's a meme at this point. I don't want John Gruden anywhere near. His name comes up every time that there's a coaching search. He's not getting a job.
Somebody just comment. We might just, listen, John Gruden is John's 62 like me. We're the same age. And that's an interesting thing. I'm not totally. The only problem with John Gruden is, is he going to make it? Can he coach 6-7 years? I'd hate to. I don't want a 2-year guy. I don't want a 2-3 year guy. I want something that that we say, what, this is going to be our guy, man. He's going to be 10 years.
Right.
But
Yeah,
I
Gruden's not
love
going to be the
listen,
coach.
dude. I'm going to tell you, I love listening. I listen to his breakdowns, his scouting reports before I
Yeah,
make a bet on an NFL game. He is brilliant.
I
But
agree with that, but I just don't think that he is a college coach. I just don't think
well,
that's his thing. Here's somebody brought up a good point. I like this. Who is going to beat Ohio State, Penn State, win the Big
well,
Ten?
that's it. That's
Which
exactly
guy?
right. You know,
DeBoer. They're asking, is it DeBoer or Dillingham? Which one of those guys is more likely to win that game? And that's a great question because that's the only question that matters. Who's going to win these big games?
yeah.
I think you could probably go either way on that, but I would probably lean more towards DeBoer. Somebody asked who is due. Nobody important, my friend. Just some schlep on the internet.
Well,
That's all.
the way you beat Ohio State, and Oregon and Penn State and Signetti. Like I said, I started out saying I want a guy that could out recruit Lanning and Day, and out coach and out lead Signetti. Now those are, like you said, those are tall tasks, but you have to be, you got to be a smart guy evaluating talent, smart with scheme, and everything. And like we've seen from Signetti,
Yeah.
So how do you know which guy is going to do that? That's the $1 million question.
It is the $1 million question. Here's a name that we didn't bring up, but Jeff Brom down there at Louisville used
Oh
to be.
yeah, I've always been high on Jeff Brom. I take him in a minute. But he went to Louisville, and I think people have been pounding on his door. But I think he's happy there. He went there. He's from there. He's got his brother. I would have definitely loved to have Jeff. Jeff Brom would have been one of the top. I think he's one of the top 5 coaches in the country, because again, you can win at Purdue and get to the championship game at Purdue with before NIL. That's impressive.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, I don't know what the time frame is, but I imagine that there's so many things going on. The Board of Regents just had a meeting apparently to discuss Ward's future, but nothing came of that. There was no announcement after that, and I assume that Ward's just going about his day, and his day right now is finding a coach.
Dude, here's a question for you, and every coach in any field, all of us in any field, whatever the hell line of work we're in, we're going to have mentors. We're going to have people that we talk to. I talked to my high school coach. Anyway, when I was coaching and anyway, who's Ward Manuel's guy? We would have assumed it was Jim. Jim Harbaugh played a big role in helping him He made the decision about Sharon Ward. Let's make sure we're clear on that. Ward Manuel did. But who is Ward? I mean, who is his guy that he's thinking about now? Who's he talking to make his decision? Who does he, I just wonder who does he consult? Who's his mentor?
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Well, that's a good question, because we have an interim president. Now, even as an interim, you have to put the stamp of approval on it. I can't imagine he's talking to the regents other than, hey, I'm going to go talk to this guy. You got any problem with that? And, I think that, again, it's just, I think, because nobody knows. But Ward's the athletic director at a multi-million-dollar corporation. I believe he's out there leading the race to the next coach right now. And, I don't, that's a good question. Who is his guy?
That is so
know,
damn important right now, is like, who is his circle, man? We were told that Ward had the wisdom to go out and counsel John Beeline before he hired Dusty May. That John Beeline was involved with, with that process. And I don't know the answer to that question. Ward has hired some football coaches. He's hired, I don't know that he's ever hired a football coach that wasn't fired. He hired Turner Gill at Buffalo. He hired, I think he had a couple hires at UConn.
He did. He had the basketball coach after.
But I mean, from a football standpoint, I don't know that he's had any success of anybody that has done anything that didn't get fired or moved. No one's that was successful and went on somewhere else. So he's pretty much 0 for 4, I think there, and hopefully, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question, man. Because I don't know how that relationship with his Jim Harbaugh. I don't know if Jim Harbaugh is getting that phone call. So I don't know who the hell he's talking to. Does anybody have any ideas? Any other questions there due of note?
No, just some other names that are popping up. Glenn Schumann is a great choice. Somebody does not like my take on
Gruden.
On Gruden.
Yeah. Well, dude, I tell you, the guy's brilliant. I think some of that stuff, again, Jim's gone back and forth. He was at Division 3, 4, whatever the hell it was. A good coach, can he go from that level to this level? And Jim's gone. He was one of the guys that could go back and forth. And with today's game, with the money, is Gruden's, is his experience dealing with money, and even not even having a damn salary cap. So the concern I would have is, how long can he coach? But he looks like he's young and healthy. I'm a little more optimistic than you are about Gruden. So I would not. No, believe me.
I'm not knocking John Gruden's knowledge.
I know, but if John Gruden walks into that team meeting, if you're playing at Michigan and you know what it was when Schembechler walked in, you couldn't hear a freaking sound, and you heard every freaking word he said. If John Gruden walks into that full team meeting room with 105 dudes, I guarantee you he'll have their attention. He will have them fired up. He will know everything about this. I mean, how many times has he had jobs? He's had the Tampa job. He had the Raider job. He's been around, and I would be. The more I think about it, man, I think we might be disagreeing on that one. I see John Gruden
a lot.
Yeah, I think I do. That's okay. We're allowed to disagree. And I when I think about me as a player sitting in front of John Gruden and the freaking you think that dude's going to have discipline? You think he's going to hire good coaches? So anyway, I'm a little different than you on him, and maybe we can move on. What else?
Well, we were talking about Ward, and it's a valid topic to discuss. Somebody had mentioned it in the chat that the whole athletic department needs to be sterilized, and I gotta agree with that a little bit. We have had how many scandals or missteps can happen on one guy's watch? And Ward, listen, man, Ward was a teammate of mine. I think he was there when you were there. Maybe he was
right after I left.
All right.
I know him. I've talked to Ward many times.
I just talked to him before their Ohio State game. Just chatted with him for a second. But listen, man, you get paid $3 million a year to run this athletic department. One of the top grossing athletic departments in the country. The biggest name in the business. The number one winning school in college football. You can't keep having this garbage happen under your watch. Mel Pearson, the Connor Stallions, Matt Weiss, this stuff going on with Sharon.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous how many things have happened to a place that prides itself on on integrity and leadership. And I think it's a valid question to ask, is Ward the right guy? He brought in Dusty May. Okay, that's a great hire. That guy is killing it. Okay, That is the Kurt Signetti of NCAA basketball.
That's right. That's what he is.
Okay, you got that feather in your cap, and you've got some positive hires in the non-revenue sports. But the big picture is football, right? Yeah. And this one has been screwed up royally lately.
Yeah.
And somebody
I just wonder Lloyd Carr is no, he's not talking to Lloyd. Lloyd's not there. I just wonder who the hell he talks to, man. And I wish, because when the Michigan family heard that John Beeline was involved, that gave us a hell of a lot of confidence after going through Juwan Howard.
Yeah.
And so that's he hasn't shared that. I don't know what else we can go on. I have Texas film ready.
Yeah.
Does anybody want to look at any Texas film? Let's
see
look at 5 minutes,
Yeah, go ahead, man.
Let's look at a couple minutes of Texas. Let me see if you can get it up. I got a new computer and I'm figuring out some stuff. Do you have the game up,
I was looking. Yep, there it is. Yep.
Okay, so we're going to look at some Texas just a little bit. These guys got players. They're big, strong. We saw them last year. You're going to have to outplay them and outcoach them. These dudes are just, these are all 4 and 5 star big physical dudes. Arch is here now. This is against Vandy this game, but a lot of formations, a lot of stuff. A lot of people are running this stuff. This is a little fake zone read going this way, and he's throwing the bubble the other way. And they got athletes, man. And this is the first play of the game or whatever, but they got Arch has gotten better. He is not just like Bryce. He is not the same kid that the Buckeyes saw. That's for damn sure. Okay, these are big athletic dudes, and Sark does a lot of stuff to put you in conflict. Let's move along. But yeah, that number 1 is something special. I think they're really good on defense. These guys they're well coached on defense. They're good on defense. And but we'll just look at some offense first. Here's a trick play. I saw a lot of trick plays. I looked at a couple games of them. A lot of different stuff. Again, your rules will save you. Vandy's in our defense. This is our base defense. We run this exact stuff. 2 edge players, 3 down linemen, and running a little trick play here. Some motion. These guys don't feel this though. You got to feel these big linemen sneaking out, leaking out there. They don't feel it. All these big dudes out here, and Vandy's all looking over here at the cheese. They're not reading their keys. These guys are crossing your face. You got to feel that. But anyway, I think Sark does a lot of stuff. I think Arch has gotten a hell of a lot better, but our guy has gotten better too. So let's move along here. Any thoughts, Dew? Dew, can you hear me? I guess I lost Dew. Here's a shift. So a lot of shifting and different things to put you in conflict. I'm going to get back to Dew here. I'm not sure what the heck happened. I guess I lost Dew, and I'm going to sign out. It's all good. Go Blue. You got Scar and Dew's thoughts, little film. Go Blue.